Hey guys, thanks for tuning back into Albatross Barbecue. So I've cooked a lot of briskets in the past, but I've not really done too many hot and fast briskets. So that's what I'm going to do today. I've got my barrel smoker out, it's cooking away in the background. We're going to be trying to maintain around that 275 to 300 degrees temperature for the whole cook. Let's see how this one goes. Stay tuned. Well, actually 300 degrees was the target temperature for the majority of this cook. But anyway, first things first, let's have a look at the brisket. The meat itself, I don't have great intermuscular fat. I've got a reasonable fat cap and I've got quite a big decal going through the middle. So I'm going to chop away at this. I'm going to collect this fat because I'm actually going to render it whilst I'm cooking so I can use this fat when I'm wrapping. On the edge of the point, I do have some nice intermuscular fat, but I'm just going to work away at some of this decal as well as the fat cap. I'm going to get it to about 1/4 of an inch on top. All this hard fat is not going to render properly anyway, so I'm just going to chop away at this a little bit more and then I'm going to get myself into the decal. So I'm going to take out a wedge. This is super hard fat. I'm going to leave some of it there so I've got some moisture in the middle of my brisket, but this here, this is just absolutely hard, horrible fat that is not going to be consumed. That's it for the trim. I'm just going to score the fat as well for when I apply my rub. But first things first, let's get some mustard onto the brisket so it can act as our binder. My camera didn't focus too well here, but my rub consists of black pepper, I've got some kosher salt, I've also got some onion powder, as well as a little bit of thyme. Apply your rub generously. This is a pretty big, thick piece of brisket, so you can put a fair amount of rub on there, but at the same time, you don't want to over season it, as I say in some of my other videos. You want the beef to be the hero. Once you've seasoned it to your preference, just let it rest. If you want it to sit there for half an hour or so, go for it. It's not really going to get up to room temperature anyway, but you can put it on if you want to, or you can let it rest. And I'm going to be using my Pit Boss Champion barrel smoker again, so I can get this up to a pretty hot temperature. I've got my water pan there, just to give me a little bit of support in maintaining that 300 degrees. And I'm using 2 different flavored woods today. I've got myself some cherry, as well as some mesquite. So let's light up this fire, get it going, so we can get this smoking away. Although I'm going to be targeting a hot and fast cook today, I don't want to get it up too quickly, simply because if it gets out of control, I'm in trouble. So let's get our thermometer in, get this thing up to temperature. I've got my dampers open, and then once I hit around that 200 to 250 degrees, I'm going to close them off so I can gradually bring this up to 300. In goes my brisket, and I'm also going to be putting in my thermometers, one in the point and one in the tiny bit of flat that I've got available here today. Here's my brisket fat. I'm just going to let that render away. Now that I'm getting this up to temperature, I'm going to throw in some wood. A couple of different flavors here, as I said, so I can get some smokiness throughout that brisket. Okay, I'm 1 hour and 20 minutes into the cook and I've just hit 300 degrees. That's okay, it's a good thing. I've been building the temperature up very, very slowly. If you go too hard too quickly, super easy to get your temperature out of control and you'll never get it back down. So I've gradually been adjusting my dampers to get up to 300 degrees. I'm at a perfect position. Now we're going to go hot and fast. We're going to check on it in about 10-15 minutes and give it a quick spray. So I've taken on some colour from that smoke, which is great, and I've also got my brisket fat, which is just starting to render away nicely as well. For my spritz, I'm just using water, keeping it real, super simple. I'm going to throw on some more additional wood chunks. Alright, we are now 2 hours into the smoke, actually a little bit under 2 hours, and as you can see, my flat is coming along a little bit quicker, but I expected that. So what I'm going to do is just going to turn it over. I'm maintaining that 300 degrees, which is absolutely brilliant. So let's turn it over and just try and get this thing cooking a little bit more evenly, given the fact we are going for a bit more of a hotter and a faster cook today. I started this cook fat cap up, so let's put it fat cap down as well for a couple of hours.
I'm hoping this will also help my bark a little bit, because I do have that pan of water directly underneath helping me regulate that temperature. I want to try and protect that bark a little bit too, so fingers crossed it helps with the bark. And then after around another 45 minutes, had another little look, and this thing is starting to look absolutely tremendous.
Alright, so now 4 hours into the smoke. I thought I'd be wrapping around now, but I'm only at 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Probably because it took me a little bit longer to get up to 300. As I said, I didn't want to go too hard, too fast, but I've been maintaining that 300 now for the last couple of hours. It did drop for a little bit when I took my eyes off it to go and get some lunch, but let's go and check it out. I'm hoping the colour, the smoke ring, the smell is absolutely fabulous. Let's check it out. Alright, so as you saw, it's got a beautiful colour. Okay, it's not quite at the wrapping stage yet, but I'm going to give it another hour or so, and I should be at that very point, so stick around.
It took approximately 40 to 45 minutes to get me to 165 degrees. This thing is getting a tremendous bark, a great colour. Here's my brisket fat. As you can see, a fair bit rendered down. So I'm just going to drizzle that all over the brisket, all around the side of the paper, and then fold it up, wrap it up nice and tight, and let it cook away until she's done. I don't always use butcher's paper. It really depends what I'm going for. Today, I want to try and get a nice bark. So that's why I'm going with the butcher's paper. And I'm going to put this into a foil tray as well. That's going to help me get the temperature nice and hot to cook this thing as quickly as I can. So back into the smoker, back goes the thermometer probes, let it cook away. You got nothing that you need to do here other than be patient and monitor that fire.
The temperature probes are telling me it's at 202, and I've set it for 203. So any moment now it's going to go beep, 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 and tell me I'm at temperature. I'm going to go in, probe it for tenderness, have a little look. If she's ready, I've got the cooler out, the esky out. I'm going to wrap it up and let it rest for a good couple of hours before we dig in and give it the all-important taste test.
When probing with my Inkbird, it was feeling relatively good. There was minor resistance. I decided to let it cook for just an additional 15 more minutes, and then I wrapped it up in the esky and I gave it a rest for an hour and a half. Taking your first peek at your brisket is always a great time. So unwrap your brisket. What I can see here is lovely colour, a great looking bark. Let's get it out and slice it up. I'm slicing at a bit of a strange angle here because I wanted to slice against the grain. You arguably should slice the other way, especially when this is the point, but hey, it was what it was. I could see some nice juices flowing, a little bit dry in parts, but the colour looked absolutely brilliant. The smoke ring was fantastic. So let's cut it up and give it the taste test.
Okay, so here we have our hot and fast brisket, smoked on the barrel smoker. The smoke ring is fabulous, smells so smoky and delicious. Let's get in and give this a go. Really good, really smoky, it's tender. This is awesome. Hot and fast, low and slow, pretty good, pretty damn good. Give it a go, guys. You never know what you might prefer. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next one.
All in all, it was a good cook. Hot and fast brisket, it had a great bark. The flavour was okay, it was good. I think rendering the beef fat, it did help a little bit, but I prefer personally using some beef stock in there as well. A great experiment, a great cook. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next one.